This story is taken from the book Quran for Kids. Towards Understanding Surah Baqarah. Chapter 1. The Sleepover. Layla, Kian, Jasmine and Omari are having a sleepover with Nanny Serena. They wore their best pajamas for this occasion and brought along their favorite teddies. They settled themselves into bed patiently waiting for Nanny to tell them the story of Surah Baqarah. Nanny started her storytelling. Surah Baqarah is the second chapter of the Holy Quran. It is also the longest surah, and our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, tells us, "Recite the Quran, for on the day of resurrection it will come as an intercessor for those who recite it. Recite the two bright ones, Al-Baqarah and Surah Al-Imran, for on the day of resurrection they will come as two clouds or two shades, or two flocks of birds in ranks, pleading for those who recite them. Recite Surah Al-Baqarah, for to take recourse to it is a blessing and to give it up is a cause of grief, and the magicians cannot confront it." This is taken from the hadith named Muslim 804. Surah Baqarah has many stories in it, and tonight children, I'm going to tell you some of these stories, Nanny Serena explained. The children were getting drowsy as Nanny finally finished her storytelling. As they were nodding off, something magical starting happening. They were no longer in their beds. With hands joined, Nanny Serena and her grandchildren were traveling into space. The night was crystal clear. The moon was shining in all its glory. The twinkling stars dancing for joy to welcome Nanny Serena and the children into their hemisphere. "What's happening, guys? Look over there," Kian said, pointing to a set of exceptionally large stars. "These stars seem to be traveling at great speed towards these Homo sapiens. They have arms and it looks like they are reaching out to us," Layla said with great excitement. Wait up," screamed Jasmine. "It looks like they have our names." The words can hardly come out of Omari's mouth when he shrieked, pointing towards the stars. "That one says Omari's star, that's his name, that's his name, that's my star," Omari kept on repeating. As the stars are getting closer, all the names became recognizable. Serena's star extended her arms to Nanny, and with a firm grip took her to planet Jupiter. Jupiter is the largest planet in the solar system. Omari's star got hold of Omari's hands. They traveled towards a large orange-red star. It was planet Mars. Jazz's star moved towards Jasmine and journeyed towards planet Venus, the second brightest natural object in the night sky. Key star approached Kian with great speed, whipped him to the second largest planet in the solar system, Saturn. By this time Layla was left alone floating around the universe. Excitement overcame fear as she gazed at the majestic beauty of the vast expanse of the universe. She was caught unaware when Layla came and gently took her hand. She could not believe her eyes when she was taken to the moon. That was her wish. Suddenly, a voice, although sweet and gentle, thundered through the universe, bringing all the children and Nanny to attention. It was Serena's star. She was addressing everyone. She told that in the beginning there was just one ball in the universe. There was no sun, no moon, no stars. This ball, because of the intense heat, grew larger and larger, until there was a big explosion with lots of smoke. And the solar system was formed from this occurrence. Allah then created 7 heavens, one above the other. She then went on to talk about Surah Baqarah. She tells them that the surah contains many rules on a variety of topics guiding us how to live on this earth. It explains why Allah created jinns and mankind and what will happen when we die. She went on to say that Allah sent many prophets to deliver these messages, and Surah Baqarah contains information about most of these prophets and the times they lived in. Serena's star then put a proposal out and asked if everyone would like their star to take them back in time so they can receive these messages with the people of those era. Nanny Serena and her grandchildren could not believe what they were hearing and shouted their agreement in chorus. Each gave an account of which time they would like to be transported to. Nanny Serena wanted to be taken back in time to the Ummah of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, after his second hijrah to Medina. Layla chose to visit the time when Prophet Adam, peace be upon him, was created in the lower heaven. Kian wanted to time travel in the era of Pharaoh and Prophet Musa, peace be upon him. Jasmine wanted to find out why the surah was called Surah Baqarah, which means the cow, and asked her star to take her to that period. Omari is going to live in the era of Prophet Dawood, peace be upon him, and Jalut. Chapter 4. Jasmine and the Story of the Cow. A big surprise awaits Jasmine in planet Venus. Her favorite pink unicorn toy was there. But the difference this time is that it's real. She was flapping her shimmery wings and with a big grin on her face she lifts her hoof up as if to say, "Nice to see you, Jasmine." Jazzy Star with an even bigger grin addressed Jasmine. "Do you like your surprise?" Jasmine had no time to reply and just jumped on her unicorn. Jazzy Star joined her. And they are off on their travels. The sky was alight that night. It seems like all the stars in the universe have come out to welcome Jasmine. And that is exactly what was happening. Her planet Venus has arranged this welcoming party. And there was yet to be another surprise. Jazzy Star is going to recite Ayat al-Kursi. It was a heart-rendering recital and all the stars were making du'as during this recital. Ayat al-Kursi can be found in Surah Baqarah in verse 255. There is no God but Allah, the living, the self-subsisting, eternal. No slumber can seize him nor sleep. His are all things in the heavens and on earth. Who is there can intercede in his presence except as he permitteth? He knoweth what appeareth to his creatures as, before or after or behind them. Nor shall they compass aught of his knowledge except as he willeth. His throne doth extend over the heavens and the earth, and he feeleth no fatigue in guarding and preserving them, for he is the Most High, the Supreme, in glory. Jasmine blew kisses to the stars and with her companion, Jazzistar, mounted the unicorn and started her journey. The journey was long but exciting and finally darkness gave rise to daybreak. There is no doubt about it. They were in another time zone. "Descend," Jazzistar said to the unicorn. As the unicorn makes its descent, they found themselves amongst people who were in complete chaos. These were the Bani Israel. The time frame was after the exodus from Egypt and after Prophet Musa's, peace be upon him, visit from Mount Sinai. People were on opposite sides of a corpse debating. Jazzistar suggested that they dismount the unicorn and move closer. "This pointing of fingers isn't solving the problem of who committed this murder," said a wise old man. "We should really take this matter to Prophet Musa, peace be upon him," said another. At the head side of the deceased there was a man going overboard with his crying. "That's the nephew," Jazzistar informed Jasmine. Jazzistar told Jasmine that the deceased was very wealthy and had no children and his death seemed to hit the nephew quite hard. By now news of this incident reached the attention of Prophet Musa, peace be upon him. He prayed to Allah. The Bani Israel got their answer. Allah inspired the Prophet to tell them to slaughter a cow, and this will lead them to the killer. Jasmine could not believe her ears at the questions they were posing to the Prophet. "Are you making fun of us? Are you taking us in mockery and jest? What possible connection can there be between a man who was killed and sacrificing a cow?" They thought that the decision of Allah did not correspond with their concern. Prophet Musa responded, "Allah forbid that I should be among the foolish." They wanted Allah to be more specific. The Prophet clarified, "It should be a handsome yellow cow." They once again asked Prophet Musa for more information. "Because all cows look the same to them." Jasmine surprised her star by reciting the verses from Surah Baqarah about this incident. "Call on your Lord for us," they said, "that he might inform us what kind she should be." "Neither old nor young," says God, "but of age in between," answered Moses. "So do as you are bid." "Call on your Lord," they said, "to tell us the color of the cow." God says, answered Moses, "A fawn-colored cow, rich yellow, well-pleasing to the eye." "Call on your Lord," they said, "to name its variety, as cows are all alike to us. If God wills we shall be guided aright." And Moses said, "He says it's a cow unyoked, nor worn out by plowing or watering the fields, one in good shape with no mark or blemish. Now have you brought us the truth, they questioned Prophet Musa, peace be upon him. By now Jasmine decided to do a bit of exploring. With Jazistar, her unicorn is taking them further afield. It was a glorious day. They came to a field and there was a young man with a cow. Hang on. That cow seemed to match Prophet Musa's description, Jasmine told her star. Look ahead, Jasmine, there are the Jews, Jazistar responded. The Jews were out searching for the cow. Hey, look at that one, said one of the Jew pointing to the heifer. That's it, that's our cow, he continued. So they went one to approach the young boy. He had just lost his father and the cow was his only inheritance. He lived a humble life with his poor mum. He was a very dutiful son. Will you sell your cow to us? They asked him. The youth told them that he will have to consult with his mother. They all accompanied him to his house. We will offer you 3 gold coins for your cow, one of them proposed to his mum. Oh, no, no, no. My cow is worth a lot more than 3 gold coins, she replied. They went on increasing their offer and the mother kept on refusing. Finally, they urged the son to speak to his mother to be reasonable. He told them, I will not sell the cow without my mother's approval, even if you offered me its skin filled with gold. On hearing this, his mother smiled and said, let that be the price, its skin filled with gold. They realized that no other cow would do, they had to have it at any price. They agreed to buy the cow and paid the price. They took the cow to the Prophet. The scene was now intense. The slaughter was done. They took a chunk of the animal and touched the dead man with it. Jasmine held her breath. I can't wait to find out who the murderer is, she muttered beneath her breath. Then the miracle happened. The corpse came back to life. He looked around and studied everyone. He then turned back and the wailing nephew, still at his bedside, was identified as the murderer. It was time for Jasmine to leave. However, she will not be returning to Earth yet. Jazistar will take her to Babylon to witness another recreated scene from Surah Baqarah. Jasmine in Babylon. Jasmine is now setting off to visit the ancient city of Babylon. Unicorn spread her shimmery wings, rose in the sky and off they went. There were lots of flying jinns in the sky that night. Some of them are very disobedient and follow the footsteps of Shaitan. Before the revelation of the Quran they used to ascend towards the lower heavens to eavesdrop on discussions between angels and then pass the information on with 100 lies to the magicians. However, after the Quran came down, the angels will shoot them, and we perceive the fallen jinns as shooting stars. There were many of them in the sky that night. Wow, there are many eavesdroppers tonight, Jasmine concluded as she gazed at the magnitude of shooting stars. Alas! Their journey is coming to an end. The ancient city of Babylon is now in sight. The huge buildings and statues surrounded with walls of ancient writings gave the visitors of the time zone they are in. As Unicorn was descending, many strange beings were in sight. Jasmine knew instantly that these were the jinns. Although, jinns were normally invisible to humans, in this instance because Jasmine is in dreamland these beings became visible. They were all busy at work. Some were constructing, some were making cauldrons and pots. It was indeed a remarkably busy sight. Some of the jinns were even chained in cages. They were all under the command of Prophet Sulaiman, as he was indeed blessed with many miracles. He also understood the language of the birds and ants and could control the winds. There was a figure of a man leaning on a stick watching the jinns hard at work. That's Prophet Sulaiman, peace be upon him, Jazistar informed Jasmine. But something did not feel right about this situation. The Prophet was very still and appeared not to be breathing. Jasmine, the Prophet is dead and had been dead for a while, told Jazistar. One can conclude from that scenario that the jinns do not know the unseen, as they were none the wiser that the Prophet was deceased. In fact, the discovery was made by a human of the Prophet's death. Jasmine watched the scene intently as he was carried away for his burial. Jasmine and her companions then flew into the palace. She wanted to see the interior. It was spectacular. The floors were made of glass and beneath it were running water. The walls were of cedar panels overlaid with gold. There were elaborate carvings, golden lampstands, bronze pillars, ivory doors and large silver windows. The prophet's throne was huge and under it was a large chest. This chest contains books of magic used from information passed on to the magicians from the jinns. Before the coming of Prophet Sulaiman, as the Bani Israel practiced the art of magic. Engaging in magic is a very grave sin in Islam. Hence, Prophet Sulaiman, peace be upon him, seized all these books, stored them in the chest and kept it under his throne. Any attempt made to retrieve these writings were met with grave punishment. The Prophet proclaimed he will burn the jinns and behead humans if found guilty of this act. Then another scene unfolded. Jasmine, her star and unicorn were to experience a remarkably interesting incident. There an individual who was leading a group of people to the chest. He appointed himself as the spokesperson. He was telling the people, "O people, Sulaiman was not a prophet, he was only a sorcerer. Go and seek his sorcery in his dwellings and luggage." He led the people to the chest. They removed all the books and the practice of magic started all over again. From that point onwards, the false news that Prophet Sulaiman, peace be upon him, was a magician spread amongst the people. This was indeed a great injustice. Jasmine at that point felt that she needed a break. Jazistar suggested that they explore the garden. Off they went circling the majestic garden. Its beauty was breathtaking. There were multi-storied terraces with the most attractive hanging baskets. There were springs and fountains with gushing water. Leaving this beautiful sight, they decided to fly further afield. They eventually came to a large gathering of people. Two men were addressing the crowd. Jazistar told Jasmine that this scene is explaining verse 102 to 103 from Surah Baqarah. 102 to 103. They followed what the devils gave out falsely of the magic in the lifetime of Suleiman. Suleiman did not disbelieve, but the shaitan, devils, disbelieved, teaching men magic and such things that came down at Babylon to the two angels, Harut and Marut, but neither of these two angels taught anyone such things, till they had said, "We are only for trial, so disbelieve not, by learning this magic from us." And from these angels, people learned that by which they cause separation between man and his wife, but they could not thus harm anyone except by Allah's leave. The men addressing the crowd were angels sent by Allah SWT. Their names were Harut and Marut. Harut and Marut's role were to teach the children of Israel the difference between miracles and magic. Allah defended the Prophet saying that the Prophet never practiced magic and by the permission of Allah he was blessed with miracles. It was the devils who were the disbelievers and not the Prophet. They were also sent as a test to distinguish the believers from the non-believers. The angels warned them of this and of the consequences if they used their